Alright, so today we're going to be working on Lesson 12, Advanced Queries. The skills are creating cross-tab queries, creating a subquery, saving a filter as a query, and creating action queries, understanding advanced query modifications. Alright, so what we need to do is we're going to open up our data files. Access data files, and we're going to go to lesson 12, and we're going to open up the importers database. I'm going to go ahead and kind of adjust my book and stuff here, make it a little bit wider of the screen over there. Okay, so we're going to save this as, and we're going to go to Infotech, Access, Lesson 12 folder. We're going to name it Importers-Final. Save. On the Create tab, in the Queries group, we're going to click on Queries Wizard to display the new Query Wizard dialog box. It says to click the cross-tab Query Wizard, and we're going to click OK. To display the cross-tab Query Wizard, it says click the table. It says use cars sold, and we'll click Next. In the available fields box, we'll click Sold By, and we'll move it to the selected fields box, and then it tells us to click Next. Next screen appears asking you which values you want to use as column headings. Okay, and it tells us to click on Dates Sold, and then we'll click Next. So the next screen appears asking you what to group the date, time, column information as, and we're going to click Month, click Next, asking you what number you want to calculate each column and row intersection, and we're going to click Sales Price, followed by Sum for the functions. So it should look right now something like this. Step 9 says to click Next to display the final screen, and keep the default name, use cars sold, crosstab, and we're going to click Finish. The results of the crosstab query are shown. It says, take note, a crosstab query does not always populate all the fields in the result set because the tables used do not always contain values for every possible data point. We're going to close the Use Cars crosstab query and then leave the database open to use in the next exercise. Creating a subquery is next. Okay. So on the Create tab in the Queries group, we're going to click on Queries Design. The Query Design grid opens and the Show Table dialog box appears. On the Tables tab, we're going to click Inventory and then click Add, and then click Close. The table field list appears as a window in the upper section of the Query Design grid. In the List of Tables field, we're going to double click Year, double click on year, followed by make, model, trim, and asking price to add those to the design grid at the bottom. So you should see, after you double click, you should see the fields populate at the bottom of the screen. It says move the insertion point above the trim field of the design grid until it turns into a solid bold down arrow. Like this, and we're going to click to select and highlight the trim column. It says to press delete key on your keyboard and the trim column is deleted. The asking price field moves to the left to replace trim column. Move the insertion point above model until it turns to a bold down arrow and click to select and highlight model column. On the design tab in the query setup group, we're going to click delete columns, which is right here. Okay, the model column is deleted. In the table field list in the inventory table window, we're going to double click model field to add it back in. And it will be added as the last column. Move the insertion point above model field in the design grid until it turns to a bold down arrow. Click and highlight model. Then it tells us to click and hold the mouse button and drag the model field to the left until its black vertical placeholder bar is between make and asking price. So we want to move it to right here. And then release your mouse button and your screen should resemble figure 12-6. Okay, it says place the insertion point in the criteria row of asking price. And then we're going to press the Shift key plus F2 to display the zoom dialog box. And we're going to type the following expression in the zoom dialog box. So, greater than, equal to, parentheses, select, in all caps, average, asking price, parentheses, from inventory, what, all caps, where, make, equals inventory dot make, parentheses. Okay, so double check to make sure that you spelled things right and use the correct capitals where you need it to be in this formula. Otherwise we could have problems. It says take note, because you are already working inside the inventory table, the reference in the expression to the inventory table preceding the make field can be omitted, and the expression can also be constructed as follows. So it says click OK to insert the expression in the criteria row of the asking price field. On the design tab in the results group, we're going to click the lower half of the view button and we're going to choose SQL view to see the entire expression as shown in figure 11 or 12-8. On the design tab in the results group, we're going to click run. The query results are displayed as shown in figure 12-9. So if something didn't work in your formula, you might have problems over under asking price. It tells us to click the File button, then click Save, and the Save As dialog box appears, and we're going to type sub query and then click OK. And then it tells us to close subquery. Next, we're going to be saving a filter as a query, so we're still using importers final. It says on the Create tab in the queries group, we're going to click Query Wizard, and in the new query dialog box, click on Simple Query Wizard, and click OK. In the Tables and Queries drop-down list, we're going to choose Table Used Cars Sold. Click the double arrow to move all of the fields from the available field box to selected field box, and we're going to click Next. We're going to click Next again to accept the default details, and then click Finish to display your simple query. On the Home tab, in the Sort and Filters group, we're going to click Advanced button and click Filter by Form. In the Filter by Form view, click the Year field, down arrow, and we're going to select 2010. Okay. On the Home tab, in the Sort and Filter group, we're going to click Toggle Filter. To apply the filter, only 2010 vehicles are shown in the result. On the Home tab, in the Sort and Filter group, we're going to click the Advanced button and choose Advanced Filter and Sort to display the new query filter design grid as shown in figure 12.12. On the Home tab, in the Sort and Filter group, click the Advanced button, and we're going to choose Save Query As, and we're going to type Filter Query, click OK. Then it tells us to click the Close button to close the Used Car Sold Query Filter 1. Okay, on the Home tab, in the Sort and Filter group, we're going to click Toggle Filter to remove the filter, and then it tells us to close, click the Close button to close the Used Cars query. Click Yes. Okay. And then it says pause, leave the database open to use in the next exercise. Alright, so on the Create tab, we're going to click the query design. And we're going to, in the Show Table box, double click Inventory to add it to the query. It says to click Close. And we're going to then, in the list of table fields, double click on Year, Make, Model, and Asking Price. On the Design tab, in the Results group, we're going to click Run and verify that the query returns the records that you want to append, as shown in figure 12-13. Tells us to right-click on the Query Document tab, Query 1, and we're going to change it to Design View. On the Design tab, in the Query Type group, we're going to click on the Append button. Alright, in the Table Name box, we're going to then click on Used Cars Sold. This is the table you want to append, and we're going to then the current database option should be checked. Click OK. Access automatically adds the name of the destination fields that match the source field names to the Append To row in the design grid. Because the asking price field doesn't have a match, Access leaves that field blank. says click the blank field in the append to cell, and then we're going to choose sales price. Okay, as shown in figure 12-15, so our document should look like this right now. It says to right click the document tab, and we're going to click on data sheet view to preview our changes. It says to right click the document tab, and we're going to go to design view. On the design tab in the results group, we're going to click the run button. An error alert message appears asking if you are sure you want to append the selected rows. We're going to click yes. It says double click the used cars sold table in the navigation pane to open it. And scroll down to see that the records from the inventory table have been appended to the end as shown in figure 12-16. So basically, from 27 on down, these used cars were just added. Okay, we're going to close the used cars sold table, and we're going to save the query as append query. Okay, it says to close the append query, and next we're going to create a make table query. Using the same document, on the create tab in the queries group, we're going to click on query wizard, and we're going to choose simple query wizard, click OK. In the table queries drop down list, we're going to choose table sales team, and we're going to click the double arrow button to move all of the fields to the available fields to the selected fields, and we're going to click next. Okay, it says click finish to display a simple select query. Okay, it says right click the sales team query document tab, and we're going to change it to design view to display the query in design view. On the design tab in the query group, in the query type group, it says click the make table. The make table dialog box appears as shown in figure 12-17. In the table name box, we're going to type sales team backup. If it isn't already selected, it says click current database, and then we're going to click OK. On the design tab in the results group, we're going to click run. It says an alert message will appear asking if you want to create a new table. We're going to click yes. Alright, it says to double click the sales team backup table. Okay, and it should look like this. So these are our sales team backup. It tells us then to close the sales team backup, and we're going to save the changes when prompted. I'll go ahead and close out of this as well and click yes to save. Leave the database open to use the next exercise. Next, we're going to be creating an update query. So on the create tab in the queries group, we're going to click on query wizard. In the new query dialog box, we're going to click on simple query wizard and click OK. In the table and queries drop down box, we're going to choose table inventory, And we're going to click the double arrow to add all of the available fields to selected fields. We're going to click on trim, and we're going to click the move back arrow, click color, click the back arrow, and then we'll hit next. Okay, click next again. Then it says click finish to display a new query. It says to right click inventory query, and we're going to change it to design view. And it says to type 2012 in the criteria row of the year field. So on the design tab in the query type group, we're going to click update. Access adds the update to row in the query design grid as shown in figure 12-19. In the update to row of the asking price field, so we have to find asking price. Let's see, it's right here. Update to row of asking price field, so click right here. We're going to type square bracket, asking price. I'm going to hit tab, so that shortcut popped up, plus 500. The design grid should look similar to this figure 12-20, which ours does. Alright, and then on the design tab in the results group, we're going to click run. An alert message appears asking if you're sure you want to update the records. We're going to click yes. It says to right click the inventory query. Document tab, and then we're going to right click the inventory query. Document tab, and we're going to choose data sheet view. Okay, to display the updated query results as shown in figure 12-21. The query contains fields that you don't update, so Access does not display those fields in the results. Alright, so it says to close the inventory query, and then we're going to click yes to save changes when prompted, and then it tells us to double click inventory table in the navigation pane to open it. Notice that the asking price for all 2012 cars has increased by $500. So the ones at the top. Okay, so we're going to close the inventory table, and it says to pause and leave the database open to use the next exercise. So next we're going to create a delete query. A delete query is an action query that removes rows matching the criteria that you specify from one or more tables. So on the Create tab in the Queries group, we're going to click on Query Wizard, and in the new query dialog box, we're going to click Simple Query Wizard, and we're going to click OK. In the Tables and Queries drop-down list, we're going to choose Tables, Used Cars Sold, click the double arrow to select all of the fields, and then we'll hit Next. It says to click Next again. And then we're going to type delete query, as the title and click Finish to display the results. Okay, tells us to right-click the Query Design tab, and we're going to go to the tab, and we're going to change it to Design View. Okay, it says the type. (3/31/2016) in the criteria row for date sold. So we gotta come here to date sold in the criteria field. We're going to type just as it's shown, 3/31/2016. Okay. And then it tells us that on the Design tab in the Results group, we're going to click Run to display the records to be deleted as shown in Figure 12-23. We're going to right-click the Delete Query Document tab and change it to Design View. Okay, and then on the Design tab in the Query Type group, we're going to click Delete. Axis hides the Show row in the lower section of the design grid and adds the Delete row as shown in 12-24. On the Design tab in the Results group, we're going to click Run. An error message appears asking if you're sure you want to delete the selected records, and we're going to click Yes. It says to double-click the Used Cars Sold table. Notice all the records for cars sold before March 31st, 2016 have been deleted. So your document should look like the picture on 12-25. Close the Used Car Sold table and the Delete query, and save changes when prompted. Okay, understanding advanced query modification. Alright, we're going to create a join. So on the Create tab in the Queries group, we're going to click on Query Design. In the Show Table dialog box, we're going to double-click on Sales Team and use Cars Sold to add them to the design grid. And then we're going to close the Show Table dialog box. In the Sales Team field, we're going to double-click Email Address. And in the Used Cars Sold, we're going to double-click Year, Make, Model, Sales Price. Your screen should look similar to Figure 12-26. Okay, we're going to double-click the join line between the tables, indicating where fields are joined. The Join Properties dialog box opens as shown in Figure 12-27. Tells us to click the Option button for Option 2, and then we're going to click OK to create a left outer join. Alright, on the Design tab in the Results group, we're going to click Run. The results are displayed as shown in Figure 12-28. Results include all of the rows from the first table and only those records from the second table that match the join field in the first table. Okay, we're going to save this query as join query, and we're going to close the query. Get ready, use the importers final database, and on the Create tab in the Queries group, we're going to click Query Design. Okay, we're going to create a calculated query field. So in the Show Table dialog box, double click on Inventory, and then we're going to click Close. In the Inventory field list, we're going to double click on Year, Make, Model, and Asking Price, as well as Trade Value. Okay, so we're going to click the field cell in the first blank column to the right of Trade Value, so over here. And then we're going to click click the Builder button in Query Setup. Okay, so click the Builder button to open the Expression Builder dialog box. In the blank area of the dialog box, we're going to type the following: markup, square bracket, asking price, square bracket. Okay, in the Expression Elements category, we're going to double click on Operators, or click Operators, and then we're going to choose minus sign. The minus sign should appear in the expression next to asking price. And then in the Expression Elements category, double click, click the Expand button next to Importers Final. And it says click the Expand button next to Tables. So it's the plus signs. And then we're going to click Inventory. The available fields from Inventory table should appear in the Expression Categories box. In the Expression Categories box, we're going to double click on Trade Value, Trade-in Value. It should appear in the expression next to the minus sign. Your screen should resemble figure 12-29. Okay, it says take note, the part of the expression that reads inventory, exclamation point, trade-in value specifies that the trade-in value field originates from the inventory table. However, even though Access automatically formats it this way, this expression format is not required since you are already referencing the inventory table in the table row of the design grid. Okay, so we're going to click OK, and then we're going to click the field cell in the first blank column to the right of the newly calculated field. So we're going to click right here, this blank column, and we're going to click Builder again. Okay, and the Expression Builder dialog box opens, and we're going to type markup in euros, parentheses, square bracket, asking price, square bracket, minus, square bracket, trade in value, square bracket, parentheses, times 0.92. We're going to click OK. Make sure your cursor is still in the markup in euros cell. And on the Design tab in the Show Hide group, for here, we're going to click on Property Sheet. The Property Sheet pane for markup in euros is expanded. Or is displayed. It says to click the empty cell next to the Format box, which is right here. And then we're going to click the down arrow to display the format menu. Okay, we may have to make this a little bit wider so we can see that better. Okay, let's make this a little bit smaller that way. Okay. Alright. Then click the arrow next to format. Alright, and property sheet pane for the markup in euros expression is explained. Or is this white? Click the empty cell next to the format box. And we're going to choose Euro from the options that appear in the to format. On the Design tab in the Results group, we're going to click Run. The query with the new calculated markup and markup in euros field is displayed in figure 12-31. So then we're going to save this query as calculated query. Click OK, and then we're going to close the query. It says to select calculated query. Oh, let's see, we're not double clicking. Just select it so that it's pink. And then, let's see, in the reports group, on the create tab, we're going to select, click report. Okay, and then it says select file, print preview, and we're going to choose landscape. Click OK to the dialog box, and then we're going to save the report as calculated query, and then click OK. And close the report. Okay, we're on 237, creating aggregated queries. So we're using importers -final on the create tab in the queries group. We're going to click on query design. In the show table dialog box, double click on inventory to add the table's first list window, and then we're going to click close. In the inventory field list, we're going to double click on year, make, model, mileage, let's see, asking price, and trade-in value. On the design tab in the results group, click run. On the home tab in the records group, we're going to click the totals button. It says to scroll down if necessary to see the total row at the bottom of the results page. In the total cell of year, click the down arrow to display, and we're going to choose count. Notice the cell displays 26, denoting 26 values or 26 years in the year column. Click the total cell of the mileage field, and we're going to choose average. Click the down arrow of the total sale cell of asking price, and we're going to choose maximum. And then we're going to click the down arrow in the total cell of trade-in value. and we're going to choose sum. Okay, your total row should appear similar to the one in figure 12-32. Okay, it says to change to design view, and we're going to remove model, mileage, asking price, and trade-in values from the design grid. The year and make should be the only ones remaining on the grid. Okay, so we're going to click on delete columns for each of these. Model, mileage, asking price, and trade-in value. On the design tab, in the show hide group, we're going to click the totals button. A new total row is added. Should appear below the table row on the design grid. It tells us to click the group by cell to make the cell the field cell, and then we're going to click the down arrow to display the aggregate functions, and we're going to choose count. Let's see. Actually, we're going to do that under make seal file. So click count. All right. All right. It tells us to change to data sheet view. Your screen should resemble figure 12-34. Notice that the records in the make field are grouped by year and counted with the results appearing in the new column named count of make. Also notice the year field is grouped and each cell remains counted as applied from the aggregate function we created previously in the datasheet view. It tells us to save the query as aggregated query. Okay, and we're going to close the query. Pause, leave the database open to use in the next exercise. Alright, so on the Create tab, in the Queries group, we're going to click Query Design. In the Show Table dialog box, double-click on Inventory to add it to the grid. Okay, then we're going to click Close. In the Inventory field list, double-click on Year, Make, Model, Mileage, and Asking Price, as well as Trade-in Value. Double-click. Make sure those are all added down here, which they are. It tells us to click the field cell in the first blank column to the right of trade-in value. And we're going to click the builder button. In the blank area of the dialog box, we're going to type the following expression or use the expression elements to create the following formula. For me, I just think it's going to be faster to type it. Just have to make sure that you add in all the proper parts. So parentheses, square bracket, asking price, square bracket, minus, square bracket, trade in value, square bracket, greater than 4,000, and I think there's a space there, and square bracket mileage, square bracket, greater than 220,000, or square bracket asking price, square bracket, minus trade in value, $4,000, and square bracket mileage, square bracket, greater than 20,000, parentheses. Okay, that was a heck of a thing to type in, but your box should look similar to the picture on 12-35. Okay, it says the expression flags the cars that cost more than $4,000 asking price minus the trade-in value and have a mileage of more than 20,000 miles, and the cars that cost less than 4,000 and have less than 20,000 miles. So we're going to click OK. And on the Design tab in the Show Hide group, we're going to click the Totals button. A new total row should appear below the table row on the design grid. We're going to select Sum from the Group By menu in the total row of the flag field. Okay, so change Group By to Sum. And we're going to select or click the field cell. Field cell in the total column of the a new flag field, and we're going to click Run. If the total row does not appear, click Totals on the Record tab. Okay, and then select Sum. From the flag field, total drop down. The flag expression has a field has an expression where 0, the expression is false, and a -1 where the expression is true. At the bottom of the flag field, you'll see that there are 11 cars that fulfilled the expression as shown in figure 12-36. Okay, so to make it easier to see which cars are selected, select the flag column and click the selection button and sort and filter, and we're going to click does not equal 0. Now you see all the high mileage cars that may be overpriced, since there are no low mileage cars that are underpriced. Okay, so we're going to save the query as mileage query and click OK, and then it says to close out the query, and we can close out of this database because we are done with lesson 12.